Shovel Knight was a great game. As one of the vanguards for the entire retro indie scene, it took elements of Mega Man and DuckTales and turned it into a modern classic. It then stayed in the public consciousness as the team at Yacht Club kept adding DLC episodes, and the main character popped up in every other game in existence after this. However, not wanting to remain a one-trick pony, Yacht Club recently released a new retro-styled game that was decidedly not Shovel Knight related. In fact, it's not even in the same genre, as now it takes huge inspiration from top-down Zelda games, specifically those on the Game Boy. And instead of a burly knight, you're now a tiny mouse. Mina the Hollower stars this titular mouse, who is capable of wielding a variety of weapons and short bursts of burrowing. She has travelled to Tenebrous Isle, where the spark generators she has designed have turned off. However, when she arrives at the island, she finds it under attack by a rebel named Thorn, who is trying to take down the leader of the island, Lionel, and their actions have plunged the island into chaos and environmental disaster. It's now up to you to travel across the island, fix the generators, and stop the rebellion. You do this mainly by playing a Game Boy Zelda game, but one that also happens to be a Souls-like. This is evidenced by a home-based den acting as a checkpoint that you return to upon death, with all your currency and some abilities removed, plus elements such as limited healing flasks that replenish at checkpoints, plus a bastard hard difficulty. Full disclosure up front, I am not a fan of Souls-like design. I attempted to play Bloodborne and gave up on it because as much as I was interested in the world, playing it felt like a chore. It was the same with Hollow Knight, which I famously made a review of here, where I expressed disappointment in its use of this style of design. When I started playing Mina the Hollower and realised how much of the Souls genre is baked into the design, I was a little disappointed. And initially I did roll my eyes as the genre's usual excuses for friction reared their ugly head. Already, I can hear the furious typing of Souls fans telling me to get good and screeching at my inability to play games. But you stop that right now, because it's not the difficulty I have a problem with. It's little annoying things like the need to tediously run back to bosses and collect your currency that I have a problem with. It's universally the thing that makes me stop playing these types of games every single time. It's a design choice that I don't feel respects my time and makes me unwilling to play further. I complained about this with Hollow Knight, where I felt like benches were always placed in weird, inconvenient places, and the same problem emerged in Bloodborne. Now, with all that explained, Mina the Hollower could have easily gone the same way. Those annoyances were all present, and they almost, once again, threatened to bore me to the point of quitting. I would have written it off entirely in the same way that I did with those previous games. It would have been yet another critically acclaimed, generally beloved game that simply didn't click with me. And then I found out you can turn all that off. There's a setting to place a checkpoint right outside every boss room, you can turn off the need to reclaim your bones after death, and there's a bunch of other settings that I didn't really touch, but they let you alter your experience in a number of ways. And I'm glad that these settings exist because it means that I was properly able to enjoy Mina the Hollower and discover that it is, in fact, an excellent game. I will absolutely criticise the game's decision to lock off all achievements for using any of these settings, including those that increase the game's difficulty, because I feel like that's a design choice we should have left back in 2004, but whatever, I don't care that much for achievements anyway. Mina the Hollower is good. It's a game that on the surface is quite basic, with simple 8-bit visuals and limited controls designed to evoke the Game Boy Color as hard as possible. But this game contains an absurdly huge world to explore, one that packs every corner with secrets, challenges, and discoveries. It was the kind of world that left me scouring every screen as I entered it, noticing distant routes and unreachable items, and wondering exactly what I needed to do to get there. It's exactly the kind of game that tickles my brain when I play a good Metroidvania, or piece things together in a good puzzle game. Mina is also a fun character to control within this world too. You can choose how she attacks, although personally I found the whip to be the most enjoyable weapon. Her burrowing ability has a ton of uses, opening up fun jumping challenges, acting as a dodge, and can also be used to slip into hidden areas. Something about this move just feels good too, to the point where I would start spamming it while walking in the same way that I roll in 3D Zeldas every 5 minutes, kind of living up to its inspiration in unexpected ways, I guess. I also really enjoyed how unique each of the game's main areas were. You get a fun little hub which gradually opens as you gain new abilities, but this opens out into a coastal area built around the remains of a sea monster, a graveyard full of spooky stuff, a field full of living scarecrows and assorted other horror-themed tropes. And the way they utilised these horror elements was interesting. Mina isn't a particularly scary game, but it weaves horror imagery in with its cute anthropomorphic cast, with bosses often being horrendous or tragic. The main boss of the Septemberg area was a particular highlight, as prior to fighting him, he stalks you through the entire area while being entirely undefeatable. So it creates little moments of panic as you try and get away from him. Also, the one thing that genuinely unsettled me was Clumpy, a clown who loved to scream into scenes unannounced only to simply tell a bad joke and disappear. I spent the whole game expecting him to murder me in some horribly ironic way for the laughs, but he doesn't. He just jump scares you and refuses to elaborate. What is your deal, Clumpy? Mina the Hollower is wedded to all the retro trappings it's cloaked itself in. For the most part, this is great, as fans of classic Zelda will find a lot to love here. However, I will say that sometimes its determination to stick to design choices from the 1990s does lead to some annoying moments. There are areas in the final parts of the game where mechanics feel more thrown together than designed, to the point that they become frustrating to deal with, a holdover from when games were designed to suck up all your coins in the arcade. It's mostly manageable, but moments that do creep in put a damper on the experience, especially when most of the game is well designed in its difficulty. Bosses have suitable wind-up animations, Mina gets noticeably more powerful with every equipment upgrade, puzzles are generally logical, and most platform challenges are legitimately a fun time. But those few areas in the observatory were just... they were an exercise in pain that I do not wish to experience again. Mina the Hollower is a game that knows exactly what it wants to be, for better and for worse. It's a game that does its best to bring back the kind of exploration and puzzle solving that won over kids with Game Boys in 1993, while simultaneously resurrecting gameplay choices that have since been improved. But even its missteps are interesting, at least, so I do not hesitate to recommend this to anyone who loves this kind of game. It can be a little mean, and you do need to meet it on its terms, but it's still a triumphant bit of gameplay design. And those settings that let me turn off the gameplay elements I really dislike was just the cherry on top. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little review of Mina the Hollower. This is part of an ongoing series where I kind of make reviews of games I've been playing recently and just sharing my thoughts on them every couple of weeks. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you really want to support the channel, I would appreciate some donations over on Patreon, link in the description. And with that, thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.